Hi everyone, and welcome to Rising Stories. Each week I interview a business owner or author, and we chat about work, our careers, business, and how we do life. My guests share their stories about thriving in their work, and they also share the struggles that come along with running a business or writing a book. Thank you all for listening to these stories each week. This month I have a huge giveaway going on, and you can enter to win a $25 Amazon gift card plus my favorite snack mailed to your home. And to enter, all you have to do is head over to iTunes and leave a comment for Rising Stories podcast. You must be 18 years or older to enter. One winner will be chosen from a random drawing. The contest will end on September 22nd, 2016 at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Also, the winner will be announced on or before September 24th, 2016. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Corrine Sandifer. My guest this week is the youngest guest ever on Rising Stories. At the age of 13, Shayla Tonge began dreaming of traveling the world. She and her family packed up their life and began their adventure of volunteering in orphanages in India, Africa, and Central America. You might have seen her giving her now famous TED Talk called Dream in a Drawer. Listen as Shayla shares her story with me about her global adventure and hear her heart about the people she met along the way. And also, she is writing her first book about her journey. Here is my conversation with Shayla.
Yeah, so my family and I had an incredible chance to go travel around the world for 5 months volunteering in orphanages. My school put on a TEDx event, and my teacher and kind of mentor encouraged me to go tell my story. It was kind of a really cool chance to kind of put out our story broadly and really encourage people through that.
So you and your family went for months, not just a week or a weekend or whatever. Y'all went for months around the world, literally, right?
Yeah.
How many countries did y'all visit?
We visited about 13 countries, but we stayed long-term in 3 of them. So in India and Kenya and Honduras, we called those our hub spots because we got to stay in a children's home there in each of those places for about a month.
Okay. And what did you do? So you were just helping. So each orphanage had different needs, I guess.
Definitely. We didn't come with like a huge agenda or projects. We just really wanted to come and be a part of the community there. That's how we chose our spots, was just we wanted to be able to live there and eat with them and share meals and just spend the day with them. And so we got to jump in sometimes and lead devotions for kids or like build a playground. And it was really different in each place.
Wow. And so when you were at the different locations, did you see a thread of some sort of, so they were all orphanages?
Yeah.
Was there like a thread that you were like, this orphanage is very similar to this orphanage in that it has the same, were they similar?
Yeah, they were. What we really noticed was just the joy in each of those places, because as we learn their stories, they're just tragic and really, really sad. Just how they've lost their families to AIDS or to a number of things. And so just seeing how joyful these kids are in spite of that was incredible.
Wow. And so one of the reasons that I have you on the show today is because you are writing a book about all this.
It's crazy.
That's amazing. And I want to tell everyone, I just jumped in and I assumed that everyone knows, but you are only 17?
17, yeah.
17. So you're my youngest guest ever.
Because my gosh,
because Crystal's older than you are. Yeah, so 17. So you're still in high school.
Yep, I'm going to be a senior.
Wow, and you're writing a book about your travels.
Yeah.
And you write a blog.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And what's your blog about?
So I feel like the blog is just an extension of telling those stories. We had kind of a janky little travel blog while we were traveling, and
Hmm.
so some of our friends and family back home were following us, and through that blog was really where I discovered my love for writing, and through hearing comments back from people saying like, "Oh my gosh, I felt like I was with you there in that moment that you described for us." I was like, "Wow, like." My writing can bring people to a different space and tell the stories of these kids that I have fallen in love with. And just, I have loved just seeing dreams all over the world. Like, my dream was to go on this trip, and my family got on board with that amazingly.
Tell me how that came about. Like, did you just go, I want to go all over the world in 6 months or, 5 months?
Yeah, so it was back when I was like 13, and I was reading this book about a family in our area that traveled around the world for a whole year.
Is
And
that the
so
one where they sailed?
no, they were actually cycling. Um,
Cycling around the world.
yeah,
What's the name of that book?
it's called 360 Degrees Longitude.
Okay, okay. So you were
Um,
reading that
so I
book.
was reading that one, and I was just getting really into it. And so I started reading some of the chapters out loud to my family after dinner.
Hmm.
And so we just got really into it and like loved talking about what would we do if we were in their shoes. And finally, I was just like, it would be so cool if we did this as a family. And I hadn't known that my parents had envisioned us moving as a family to likely a Spanish-speaking country because my brother and I are fluent. We went to a dual immersion school in elementary school, and so they
Okay.
imagined maybe we'd do that as a family. But
Yeah.
now that we were older and in school and sports and everything, they thought that we wouldn't leave all that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so they were like, "Wait, really? You would leave?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I would love to do that."
What
And
about
so
your brother? So was he on board, like
he
leaving everything too?
he was the most hesitant of us all.
Okay.
His qualifying factors were, can we be home for Christmas, and can we be home for my birthday?
Oh,
So
because he wanted a birthday
he's
party.
yeah, he's 3 years younger than me, and
Okay.
so it took a little convincing for him, but he was soon on board.
Yeah, yeah. So your parents, I mean, I have that vision too. I have that dream, or I had a dream. I mean, I'm like you guys. It's like, oh, wouldn't it be great to go just take our family and live? I mean, I'm even just thinking 3 months in Mexico, like,
Yeah.
rent a house but you guys actually did it. That's amazing.
Yeah, it took 2 years of planning and
So it
just
took two
figuring out.
years from when you shared the book, and
Yeah, and
then
we
you,
said yes.
okay.
Yeah, so 2 years of figuring out the ministry partners and finding renters for our home and just all the puzzle pieces of figuring out how I would do independent study for schooling and all of that. So then
Wow.
in December of 2014,
Hmm.
we left and then came back in May. So.
Wow. So that was a long trip. And tell me what countries you visited, where you
Yeah, so we started off in India, in a children's home in southern India, and stayed there for about 3 weeks. And then we got to visit this organization in Thailand that is seeking to intervene in sex trafficking.
mm,
And so that was really, really interesting. We couldn't really speak with a lot of the kids because they didn't know English, but what we learned along the way is that play is universal, and
it
so we just
is.
be with them and play with them. And then we went to Africa, to Uganda and Kenya.
Hmm.
And then for a couple weeks, we visited Europe. So we went to like Turkey and Italy, and then we visited our family in Spain. My cousin was studying abroad there, so we kind of met up with them, and we saw the first familiar people in 3 months.
Wow. Yeah. Isn't
And,
Spain
and then
beautiful? Spain is
oh, it
beautiful,
was
isn't it?
beautiful. Yeah, we were there during Easter week, and so they have huge celebrations there in Sevilla, and so we got to participate in that, and that was incredible. And then we headed back to a ministry in Honduras, and so
Okay.
we that was one of our last stops.
And you stayed in Honduras for a while, right?
Yeah, we stayed there for about a month.
Okay. And so you're fluent in Spanish. Hablas
Yes.
español.
Sí.
Muy bien. Ay, qué bueno.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Well, the people that are listening are like, "What did they just say?" But yeah, we're just kind of chit chatting a little bit. That's awesome that that your parents were willing to do that for you guys. I mean, you'll never forget it,
Hmm.
you know. And tell me what when you came back. Of course, you're gone all that time. There's probably some things that you missed, but when you come back, what's hard about coming back? When you come back to the life that you were living, which I assume it's a comfortable life, and you've got probably your own room or.
Yeah. I think out of the four of us, it was especially hard for me to come home. Even in the weeks leading up to returning, I was really anxious about just like being back in, normal life. And I was just, feeling guilty and just that I get to come back to this my own room in which is the size of, many of the huts and homes that the kids I now love, who I call family, live in with, siblings and parents and grandparents. And so that just didn't settle well with me. And so that was hard. And then also I just had the fear of, forgetting all of our experiences
Yes.
and like not doing justice to all the kids that I had met. And so I think like that fear really led into my desire to, seek out sponsorship here because my family we were sponsoring a little girl in Mexico my whole life, but we had kind of stopped sending letters. It didn't really mean anything to me. I didn't understand it. But especially when we were in Africa, sponsorship came up a lot. And those kids know that they have someone across the world who is providing for them. And they have their picture on their wall and they think of them often. And sometimes they even call them mom and pop.
Oh,
It's just really special to see how much it changes their lives so completely.
yeah.
And so just being able to have seen that and come back and encourage people who are already sponsoring and say like, you're really doing so much, you have no idea.
Yeah.
And then also just encourage others to, do the same.
And
And
that
so,
was in Kenya, you're
yeah,
saying.
that was in Kenya.
Wow. So that was the one that had a sponsorship. Um, it was a sponsorship type orphanage, or
Yeah.
did they have parents? Because I think the little boy that we sponsor um, has parents, but like we're sponsoring him so that he can go to school. I mean, they're different sponsorships type.
Yeah, it really depends. That's the case in a lot of places, but in this particular home, most of them are orphaned and live with house parents at the children's home.
Okay, okay. And was there something that you know, how long did it take you? Did you miss when you were gone? Did you miss anything about the United States or any foods or anything, or did anybody get sick?
My biggest craving was smoothies.
Oh,
We
yeah.
just like didn't have a lot of fruit, especially in the developing countries.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was one of my biggest cravings. So when we finally got one, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Um, and let's see what else. I I didn't miss like a lot of I didn't miss like home or any of those things. I missed friends and like people.
Mm-hmm.
But I was in such like I was in my happy place, like just meeting these people and traveling and being adventurous and
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't want to come home. Like I just wanted all the people I love with me. I didn't care like where I was,
Right,
So
right. That
yeah.
was nice that you had your family with you too. I bet that was a blessing to have them. And I get that whole reentry is really hard because your heart's already back where,
Yeah.
you left it with all the kids and everything, and you want to go back, and you do feel guilty about like, gosh, I get to come back and and they're still there struggling with the same things, or just not feeling you're not there experiencing life with them. And so yeah, that's got to be tough. um so tell me, so you were telling me earlier that you are writing your book,
Mhm.
and you've already got 5 chapters written.
Yeah.
And so, and you told me that when you were gone for those 5 months traveling, that you journaled. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, in light of what I said earlier about fearing, not remembering all the little details, so I had made it my goal to journal every single day of the trip. And so I didn't always, write it on that day. I would maybe write it later, but I have like 3 or 4 volumes of journals that I filled
Wow.
and so that has been super helpful as I've begun this writing process, to be able to reflect back and remember even those little moments that I had forgotten. And that has really helped. It's kind of like a first draft in a way. And so that has been really helpful as I start these first chapters. And what's been interesting is it's a memoir. So in some ways, it's easier that I have the stories to, use already. I don't have to come up with content, but what's really hard is reaching back into those feelings and, those raw moments and how do I express that? And so that's been my challenge along the way. It was just being really real and just letting the reader into my mind and what I was experiencing as I just saw these new things around me. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess you have to really, yeah, like you said, just think about what you were feeling and what you were experiencing to bring that reader, just kind of letting them know not just what you're seeing, but also maybe what's happening and what you're experiencing while you were there and how different it is from just everyday life that we have. And your
Mm-hmm.
memoir, gosh, I love that. I think that's a great genre to write about, and it's going to be easy. Do you like writing?
I have discovered, especially in the last year, that I love writing. And for me, I like to say that I'm a storyteller because like I don't just have one medium. Like I love to write and I'm also really interested in film. And so just that process of telling someone's story and like bringing someone else into their world is really, really a cool thing for me. So.
Yeah. Tell me one story that kind of stood out among a lot that you experienced and that you're writing about.
Yeah, one of those people that really stood out for me, and she's in my TEDx talk. Her name is Magdalene, and we met her on our first day in Kenya. And all the other kids were very shy, but she was super confident. She walked up and introduced herself. And so, in minutes in our conversation, we learned that her father had died in South Sudan in the war. And so a lot of people at the school next to the children's home, a lot of the students were from South Sudan and they had been displaced and come to Kenya to receive education. And so we told her, like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And she said, just in a super confident voice, that's just the way life is. And I was so
Wow.
stunned, yeah, because that's not the way life is from
For
my
us.
perspective, for us,
Yeah.
yeah. And just to see that suffering is common in her life and in many of the kids' lives there. And so she is just incredible. She's a dreamer. She wants to go back to her country and just be a change there and help her people. And she has so much love and she's such a leader. She was one of the
Wow.
people that really stood out to us, and I know that she's going to do some incredible things.
Yeah, what a resilient little girl. I mean, she just she sounds like she was like, it's just life happens, and she kind of came to grips with it, and she's moving forward. Whereas, the rest of us would be still like freaking out.
Hmm.
Um, wow, that's amazing. So, do you feel like you learned so much during that time yourself and grew as a person?
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, you had to, right? So,
Yeah, so much was redefined for us. Like, um, just simplicity, living, simply. We all had one backpack of all of our things for 5 months, and just to see that all those kids have 2 pairs of clothes and 1 pair of shoes, and they wash them every other day so that they can wear them, and just that there's more joy in that. And coming back to the Silicon Valley, where we just have so much stuff, and that
True.
can
Yeah.
just be a lot. And you'd think like, oh yeah, the more you have, the better life is. But I really think that it's the opposite. In Honduras, the pastor's wife said when we were talking to her about how we were going back to the Silicon Valley, and they know about Google and Facebook and everything. So we're telling them how we live in this area, and how there's just not as much, just joy, just plain joy. And she said they're so poor, all they have is money. And it was just, isn't
Wow.
that incredible?
I didn't think about that, but that's so true. That's
Yeah.
so true. All they have is money. Yeah. Because there's so much more. I mean, like you were saying earlier, those kids, you saw a thread, and the thread was they were joyful. They had joy.
Hmm.
And, where does that joy come from? It came from just, the simplicity, like you were saying, in the simple life. They have nothing else to look forward to but just but they've decided to be happy in
Yeah, and the
whatever comes.
gratitude for what they do have is tremendous. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So, are you a reader yourself? Do you
I
read?
am. Yeah, I
What are
am.
you reading these days?
I'm in between books right now, but one that I loved was Interrupted by Jen Hatmaker.
Oh,
I'm a fan of Jen.
yes,
Have you read
love
hers?
her. I did you like that book,
I
Interrupted?
loved it.
Have you
Yeah.
read Seven?
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was my first one of hers.
Oh, yeah.
And I read it after we came back, and just that simplicity and stripping down to the bare
Yes.
minimum. I was like saying amen in every chapter.
True. Yeah, I like the clothes one and the I think the only thing I was like freaked out about was like when she pared down to like only shopping at like 7 stores or like
Oh
three or
yeah.
four stores. That was kind of not that they were stores, but like three outlets of where her money was going. But anyway, and then social media was good.
Oh yeah. I need
Yeah,
to do that.
that was good. So, gosh, so you were unplugged that whole time that you were over there,
We were
or pretty much.
unplugged in kind of phases. So in India, we had no Wi-Fi for like 3 weeks. But in other places, we did, and that's how I got some of my schoolwork done. And I was sending work back to teachers. So we weren't completely unplugged, but a whole lot more than
Yeah,
in normal life. Yeah.
but it wasn't like you were walking around with your phone
No.
like the rest of us do now. So, that's really cool. So, what if you had if you have a favorite app, what is your favorite app on your phone? Since
I
we're talking about
recently
phones.
downloaded. I love fonts and graphic design, and so I just downloaded Font Candy, and I've been playing with it. I
What
haven't.
is that? Is
It's
that
like,
just
I think it's where you have photos, and then you can overlay fonts of different kinds. You can put a quote or words or whatever,
Oh.
and yeah. So
So you make
I
like
haven't like gotten a handle of it yet. Like I
okay.
don't completely know how to use it,
So you make
but
like a meme. You make like a
it's like it's very artistic. Like it's
okay.
not. I don't think it's intended for humor. I mean, I guess you could, but all the examples are like quotes or something over like a picturesque scene. So I don't know. I haven't figured it completely out, but that's what I recently
That's your
downloaded.
favorite app. Okay, that's good. So tell me, what are three things that you're just absolutely loving these days? Three things that you can't.
um, that's
You're
good.
just
Okay, let's see. My friends and I have really gotten into henna. Do you know what that is?
yeah, like the tattoo kind of not
Yeah,
like the temporary, the
yeah.
Indian thing.
In India, the girls would do henna on me all the time, and I loved it. But one of my best friends is really, really talented at it. And so she's realized that she used to do it like for money,
Yeah.
but she's realized she just loves doing it for people who, just may not feel as, confident or as beautiful because, suddenly some part of your hand or your arm, like you didn't really look at much, is like covered in a beautiful design. And so she's loved just encouraging people through it, which is so cool. And so
That's
I've loved that
neat.
process of just using something you love for encouraging others.
And in India, so little girls would just they would just do henna on you, like
Yeah, you can buy them on the street corner for real cheap. They're the little tubes. And so like they do it at weddings, obviously, and it's super intricate.
right.
For them, it's kind of like painting each other's nails. Like,
Okay.
they'll do it, for one another.
That's neat. It's kind of a bonding thing, like we do now. We do our nails,
Yeah,
we
it
get
is.
our toes done or whatever. So they do henna, and it's something quiet, and they're doing it
hmm
together or whatever. That's neat. What else do you like?
Like I said, I'm super into film, and I'm in this unique media arts program at my school.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've just been enjoying capturing moments and editing and honing my skills and getting a little bit better at that. So that's been really fun, and I'm hoping to pursue that in college. So seeing that passion and realizing like, oh, like I could, pursue this even further is exciting for me. So
Yeah.
that's what
Do
I've
you
been doing a lot of the summer.
do you wish that you had a camera and that you had been videotaping everything when you had gone?
Gosh, do I? Yeah, I had like a smaller camera that was like a bit nicer than a point and shoot.
Uh-huh.
But it like broke halfway through our trip and I was so bummed.
Oh,
So I totally wish that I had a nice camera and could have filmed a bunch
yeah.
more.
Redo. Tell your
I
parents.
know, honestly. I
Redo.
was like, we just gotta go back.
Gotta go back. Gotta do a whole nother trip because you want to get it on film now. Yeah. So, is it? Are you making stuff in the class, and then you can? So you're creating a film, and then you're presenting it. That's kind of like your
Yeah,
assignments.
we got to do, yeah, we did like a experimental unit, so that one was really interesting. We couldn't have any dialogue or anything. And then we did a narrative, and then the last one was a documentary. And that one was my favorite. I got to do a documentary on this really cool social enterprise called EPA Made, and they hire single moms.
Oh
Uh,
wow,
so I got to go hang out with them and tell their story, which was really cool.
that's neat. Well, I can just imagine. I mean, gosh, you just have so many talents. I'm wondering, I just can't wait for you to grow up. I mean, I know you're grown, but you're gonna like do something. I just know that seems like with your film and everything else, you're gonna and your book coming out. So, oh, forget to ask you, how when will it come out? When will your book be out?
So that is not known for me right now. We're finishing the proposal, and so that's going over to my agent soon. So this is kind of a waiting stage soon for me. So I'm just gonna have to have patience and
Yeah.
wait on that to hear back. So I don't know. That's up in the air.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll have you back when you release your book again. That'd be fun.
I'd love to.
What's your third thing? Do you
Hmm.
have a third thing?
I'd say my favorite snack lately has been my own little concoction where I slice a banana down the middle and then put peanut butter on it and then granola and honey.
That
And
sounds
it's so
delicious.
good. Yeah.
And do you eat it like with a spoon, like on a plate or a
I
bowl?
either like pick it up, like if I do half a banana,
Yeah.
or I like use a spoon.
So peanut butter
Yeah,
on the
peanut
banana,
butter on the
slice
banana.
it in half. Peanut butter. So slice it like long ways or
Yeah,
like
yeah,
long ways like a banana split, and then you put
exactly.
like peanut butter, granola, and what else?
And honey on top.
Honey.
Yeah,
Yum.
it's so good.
See, I would be doing a little bit of chocolate chips on that
Yeah, my mom
and
likes to put a little Nutella.
Nutella. There you go. I love Nutella. Love Nutella. Well, thanks so much for coming on. This was awesome. I loved meeting you, and what an interesting person you are. And I can't wait, like I said, I can't wait to see what's coming around the corner for you. And definitely let me know when your book releases, and I'll be looking forward to getting that book, and keep us connected, and telling us if you do another TED Talk or something else, or if you go on another travels.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Wow, can you believe she is only 17? You need to keep Shayla on your radar. I think she will be doing more amazing things with her life. We will have her on the show again when she releases her book. Don't forget to enter the giveaway. If you need a little help with leaving a comment on how to leave a comment on iTunes, check out the show notes for instructions at CorrineSandifer.com. Also, everything we talked about with Shayla will also be on the show notes at CorrineSandifer.com under Rising Stories Podcast. Music by Ben Sound, and this podcast has been sponsored by Brentwood Life Coach. Thanks so much for listening to Rising Stories. Take care and keep rising in your own story.